You hear an old song and suddenly you're back in your childhood bedroom. The posters on the wall, the smell of the carpet, the feeling of who you were. Or you scroll past a photo from 10 years ago and it feels like stepping into a time machine. That feeling is nostalgia. And most people think it's all about sadness, about longing for the past. But here's the surprise. Science shows that nostalgia doesn't just make us miss the old days. It can actually make us happier, stronger, and more connected today. In fact, psychologists now see it as a secret resource for mental health. Instead of dragging us backward, nostalgia can push us forward. The problem is reputation. For a long time, nostalgia was seen as negative. The very word comes from Greek, nostos, for return, and algos, for pain. It was once treated as a sickness, almost like depression. Soldiers in the 17th century were said to suffer from nostalgia when they longed for home. Even in modern times, people assumed it was just bittersweet sadness. But the research tells a different story. When scientists studied people who experienced nostalgia, they found something unexpected. Yes, there can be longing. Yes, it brings back things we've lost. But alongside the ache, there's warmth, joy, and meaning. Nostalgia reminds us of who we are and what we value most. It isn't about living in the past, it's about carrying the past into the present. Think about how it feels. Remembering a family dinner, a vacation, or even just a silly memory with friends doesn't leave you stuck. It makes you smile. It reconnects you to relationships, to values, to identity. And when life feels uncertain or stressful, nostalgia works like an anchor. It grounds you. So nostalgia isn't weakness. It's a strength. It's proof that your life has been filled with moments worth remembering. And far from making you sad, it can be one of the fastest ways to feel happier in the present. That's the paradox we're exploring. Nostalgia has been misunderstood for centuries. But now we know. It's one of the brain's secret tools for resilience, connection, and joy. And the next step is to understand how it really works. Science explains why nostalgia feels so powerful. Your brain is constantly deciding what to keep and what to forget. Most daily moments blur away, but emotionally charged ones stay. Nostalgia is the act of reactivating those meaningful memories, and when you do, your brain responds as if you're experiencing them again. That's why an old song can suddenly flood you with warmth or bring tears to your eyes. Psychologists call these self-defining memories. They're not just random images from the past. They're events that shaped who you are. When you revisit them, you're not simply recalling, you're reconnecting with your own identity. That connection is why nostalgia can make you feel more stable, especially in times of stress or change. There's even a chemical side to it. When we recall positive memories, the brain releases dopamine, which boosts mood and motivation. Nostalgia can also trigger oxytocin, the bonding hormone, because many nostalgic memories involve close relationships. These neurochemicals explain why nostalgia often leaves us feeling uplifted, not weighed down. It's biology working hand in hand with psychology. Studies back this up. In one experiment, participants were asked to write about a nostalgic memory. Afterwards, they reported less loneliness, more optimism, and even felt physically warmer than those who wrote about ordinary events. Other research found that nostalgia can act as a buffer against anxiety, helping people cope with uncertainty by reminding them of their strength and support networks. Even music reveals the effect. When people listen to songs tied to their youth, brain scans show increased activity in areas linked to reward and emotion. It's not just memory, it's pleasure. That's why nostalgic playlists are often used in therapy, especially with older adults or patients with memory loss. Music taps into preserved emotional circuits, bringing joy and connection where words sometimes fail. Another fascinating discovery. Nostalgia can increase our sense of meaning. Life can sometimes feel like a blur of routines, but when we recall moments from the past, we remember the bigger picture. We're reminded that our lives have been filled with love, growth, and connection. That reminder boosts self-esteem and resilience, helping us see challenges today as just another chapter in a bigger story. So nostalgia isn't about escaping reality. It's about reinforcing it. It tells us, look, you've lived, you've loved, you've endured. You're stronger than you think. Instead of weakening us, it makes us more resilient. That's why scientists now argue that nostalgia is a psychological resource, a natural tool for happiness. But here's the question. If nostalgia is so powerful, can we use it deliberately? Can we create opportunities to tap into its benefits without getting stuck in the past? The answer is yes, and the strategies are surprisingly simple. The beauty of nostalgia is that it often arrives uninvited. A smell, a song, a photo, and suddenly you're time traveling. But you don't have to wait for it to surprise you. You can use nostalgia on purpose to make life richer right now. One way is through music. Build a playlist of songs from your childhood or early adulthood. Play them when you need a mood boost. The melodies unlock memories and emotions, reminding you of people and places that still matter. It's like carrying your own happiness switch in your pocket. Photos work too, but not in the endless, scrolling way. Take time to sit with old albums or digital galleries. Look slowly and let the memories surface. Don't just see the images. Recall the stories behind them. This simple act can spark gratitude, turning forgotten days into fuel for today. Revisiting places is another powerful trigger. Walking down the street where you grew up, or visiting a place tied to a meaningful event can reignite the sense of continuity in your life. These locations aren't just physical. They're anchors that remind you of who you've been and who you still are. Sharing nostalgia multiplies its power. Tell the stories to friends, children, or partners. Studies show that when people share nostalgic memories, their bonds grow stronger. You're not just reminiscing, you're passing on a sense of meaning, keeping those memories alive in others too. But nostalgia needs balance. Too much can trap you in longing, wishing the past would return. That's when it shifts from helpful to heavy. The key is using it as a bridge, not a cage. Let nostalgia remind you of the richness you've already lived, and then bring that energy into the present. So, how do you use it wisely? Make nostalgia a ritual, not a refuge. Pick one day a week to revisit music, photos, or stories. Let it lift your mood, strengthen your identity, and spark gratitude. Then, step back into today with renewed energy. That way, the past fuels the present instead of replacing it. Because the truth is, nostalgia isn't about going backward. It's about seeing the path you've already walked so you can move forward with more confidence. It tells you that your life is filled with meaning, connection, and joy, and that more of it can still be created. You can't relive the past, but you can carry its best parts with you. Nostalgia isn't sadness. It's a gift, a reminder that life has always had value and always will.